Todd Bowles, I believe, is one of the best defensive minds in all of football. And he's one of the better head coaches in all of football right now. Won back-to-back NFC South titles. But the question is, like, what's Baker's ceiling? When I think about it, I actually think the Bucs can have a Detroit Lions-type tenure right now. Win the division consistently, make it to the playoffs consistently. I think they can get to an NFC championship game. I do not think they can win an NFC championship game just because I think their quarterback has Super Bowl limitations. I like Baker a lot. I probably like Baker more than anybody on this desk. I've liked Baker since he played at Oklahoma, my collegiate rival. But I don't know if Baker can get them all the way over the hump. But I do think Baker will have this team highly, 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 highly competitive. And ultimately, Baker, the last 2 years, been a really good quarterback that's gotten his offensive coordinators head coaching jobs. Like, that's the sign of how good a player are you is. Are your coaches going on to get elevated? Canales, head coach now at the Carolina Panthers, former offensive coordinator for the Bucs. Liam Cohen, head coach now for the Jags, former offensive coordinator for the Bucs. Bucs, Baker, 3 different OCs, last 3 years. I actually think NFC Championship game is probably my ceiling, but a perennial playoff contender, Jay.
We've seen it. We've seen their ceiling. Their ceiling is getting to the playoffs and winning a game. That's just one. That is the Bucs ceiling. And if we are really going to be honest and keeping it a buck, I mean, they went to the playoffs 8-9. Then what, 10, you won 10 games. They're in a really bad division right now with teams that are still trying to find their way with young quarterbacks or not a quarterback at all. And the Bucs have been benefiting from that and getting to the playoffs. But the Bucs ain't a dominant team like that I see getting to the NFC Championship when you have the Eagles and the Packers and the Lions and the Rams and teams like that. I just cannot see that happening. I think we have seen their ceiling. I think this team, and I respect Todd Bowles. I think Todd Bowles is a heck of a head coach and defensive mind. But I truly believe we have seen their ceiling. I think their ceiling is making it to the playoffs with a subpar record and beating a team. One team. And that is it.
Yeah, I agree with James, right? And I'm glad that the question was asked about the ceiling with Baker Mayfield because Todd Bowles is a tremendous coach. I remember when he got the coaching job for the Bucs, people were questioning, well, why? Well, why? Because he did this and that with the Jets and et cetera. I'm like, hold up. Todd Bowles on defensive side, I watched Todd Bowles shut out Aaron Rodgers. I was there in the championship game where he took him out the game. And a lot of great quarterbacks. When we have different games, because I played with him with the Eagles too, he's the defense coordinator. We have certain teams we play against, and he said, yo, don't worry. I got this. And that's how good he was on defense. On the offense side of the ball, Baker's a good quarterback. Yeah. I can finally say that. When I look at him, I say, okay, he's a good quarterback. And when a good quarterback, and I watch the Bucs team, I think that the ceiling is with him as under center is a playoff win. You're in a bad division. You're going to probably win every year in that division because you got the Atlanta Falcons, young quarterback trying to figure out. Saints got no quarterback. They're trying to figure that thing out. Yep. And the Panthers, where Bryce Young has been getting good, but that roster's not that good. So, say all that to say, I think the biggest thing for them is win a playoff game. Because if you're in the playoffs, you playing the Bucs, I don't think you're worried. You got to go against Baker Mayfield? I don't think you're worried. I don't think you're tripping.
The only reason I would disagree with y'all is for this reason.
Okay.
If Todd Bowles is as good as a defensive mind as we suggested he is, Baker Mayfield is good enough to get you to an NFC Championship game, so long as your defense is elite. Right now, the NFC, who are the quarterbacks? Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, Jordan Love, still waiting to see what he's going to do. Matthew Stafford, he's on the far end of things. Jaden Daniels. Like, it's not like you're going up against Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes. So if you're in the NFC, Baker Mayfield, he's not so much worse than Jared Goff. He's not so much worse than Jalen Hurts.
But he's the worst out of all the quarterbacks. So that's the thing, though. When you start bringing down these quarterbacks, he's the worst one. And that's not a bad thing. Everybody you name, he's not better than none of them guys, right?
And the hard part is this, right? Okay. If you are going to, which I agree with, if you're going to look past Todd Bowles' struggles with the Jets as a head coach, because he was atrocious, by the way, with the Jets, then to some degree, you have to join me in looking past Baker Mayfield's struggles with the Browns, because everybody sucks with the Browns. Last 2 years with Baker Mayfield, he has a playoff win over Jalen Hurts. He's a fumble away from a playoff win over Jaden Daniels. It's a fumble away. It still counts as a loss, so I can't just act like he won that game. But if you're looking at Baker last year, 41 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. Y'all played with a bunch of great quarterbacks. Y'all know that's solid. And if I'm also looking at the Bucs, it's not as though the Bucs have the Eagles skill group. Shout out to Mike Evans. Chris Godwin, unfortunately, can't stay healthy. Bucky Irving is a young, ascending back.
Nice.
Emphasis on young, emphasis on ascending. So it's not like Baker Mayfield is trotting out there with Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Kyron Williams, trotting out there with Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown. I actually think, 2-5, Jay, if this Baker, 41 touchdowns, 17 interception, 16 interception Baker, is the Baker we're going to see moving forward, if Todd Bowles gets that defense elite, I think why can't they win a couple of them?
My only thing is number one, Baker has not shown us that he's this type guy he was last year consistently.
Of course, that's true.
That's number one. Number two, we're talking like we've seen a dominant team the last 3 years with Baker Mayfield. We haven't. We've seen a really, really average team in a really, really average division be the team come out of there. That's why they talked about, should we change the rule that you don't get a home game because you just won your division? Because they keep getting home games, winning their divisions with 8, 9, 9, and 8, 10 and 7 type records. They are not a dominant roster, and I don't think Baker's a dominant quarterback. Once you get into these playoffs, you're going to need either a dominant roster or you're going to need a dominant quarterback to compete in the playoffs. I don't think they have neither.
Is it fair to say, because here's where I think I'm at with it now, I don't think Baker's holding them back. In the sense that I agree with James, I'm like, they're not a dominant roster. You put outside of Patrick Mahomes plus Andy Reid, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, I don't think this roster is a Super Bowl contending roster. And you can't even say Lamar Jackson because he's had better rosters and not gone. So outside of Patrick Mahomes plus Andy Reid, outside of Josh Allen, I don't think anybody can carry this roster.
We ain't even saying Super Bowl. He's saying is win more than one game. And I think with the Baker Mayfield, that's why I don't really love the stats conversation, because you can make any stat look great. Because when I look at what Baker Mayfield does, is you might throw some stats out there, but he has to be consistent every year, right? And another thing is, Jalen Hurts, stats ain't gonna look super great, but in the playoffs, he gonna find a way to win. I can't say the same for Baker.
Of course.
So now when you talk about the roster and all this other stuff, I'm looking at the quarterback. I'm learning that the quarterback really is a big factor, right? Unless you got somebody like the Derrick Henrys or the Saquons that could just, we're going to do it so well and their offensive line is so good. If you don't have that, then you got to go to the quarterback. And I look at the quarterback, all the guys you just named, he's the bottom of the list, honestly. So even Dak. I'm taking Dak before I'm taking Baker. Golf, I'm taking Golf before I'm taking Baker. Jalen, I mean, you know what's going on with that one. Who else? Stafford. So everybody, Jalen, even not Jalen.
Jordan. Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels, he's another one. Everybody we talking about, you taking them before Baker. So you talking about going to that next level, you need your quarterback to do that. And when I watch him play, I don't see it all the time.
And not only that, any other division, they're not even
and Baker's a good quarterback. But it's like, when you speak about like the levels of it, people get disrespected. And I'm not to disrespect you, just that, hey, man, you are good. But there's level to this thing.
In the NFC.
Everybody can't go.
But in the NFC, right, last year's NFC Championship game was Eagles-Commanders. Year before, I think, was Lions-Niners. I'm thinking about those teams outside of the Commanders. Those teams were great. That Lions roster, ridiculous. That Niners roster, utterly ridiculous. The Eagles roster, maybe the best roster since the turn of the century, right? That Eagles roster's wild. If the Bucs get that type of roster, which is hard-pressed to do, they got Emmanuel Acho out of Ohio State, I think drafted him number 19. Mike Evans is still coming back. Bucky Irving, like Shady said, could be maybe a top 5, top 7 back here in the next 2 years or so. Like, he is that good. If they get that kind of roster and that kind of help,
now we got to answer.
Now we talking.
Now we got to answer.
Now we talking.
Because I think Baker Mayfield could manage and play well to help them teams win games if they have an elite defense, an elite pass catchers, elite running game. If he has all that, Baker Mayfield's good enough to make sure he ain't going to mess it up for his team. And get
y'all pray for them. Keep your hands crossed.
What up, YouTube family? Welcome to the facility. Thanks for watching, and you better be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to get more highlights from the show and all of our exclusive content.